Bomac TV. Subscribe.
He has also talked about it. That left hook is so good, and it's so long and so precise and so hard, but
What's going on, people? It's Batchat TV, and we've got some new news that happened not that long ago. I'm still quite shocked. It's a breaking news. Bomac Mcintyre, the trainer of the year. Well, not officially, but you know, his accomplishments, I'm sure, are going to make him the trainer of the year. We all know that he's had an amazing performance in coalition with Terence Bud Crawford in his dramatic win over Errol Spence, another guy who's one of the best fighters of the welterweight division and has been for many years. That was an amazing performance by both men, the trainer and fighter. And then he's almost topped that performance that he had with Terence Crawford with Chris Eubank Jr., taking a guy who was convincingly knocked out by Liam Smith in the first fight, taking him on board, having him for, a couple of 8 weeks or something, and completely transforming his abilities. Chris Eubank Jr. had an amazing performance in the ring against Liam Smith in the rematch. I don't know how much that was to do with Liam Smith not being 100% or how much it had to do with Bomac, but I watched the training and all the strength and conditioning and the stuff that he was teaching him, and he just looked way better than he was with Roy Jones. No disrespect to Roy Jones, but Bomac is a really good trainer, very good trainer. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for a long time. He's trained the best fighter in the world today in Terence Crawford. He's a really smart trainer, but he may not be a really smart man in general. Just because you're a smart trainer, it doesn't mean that you have smarts in real life, because if you was a smart person, I'm sure you wouldn't try to smuggle a loaded weapon through the airport in a suitcase, hand luggage suitcase, from the UK back to the US. I think he was going to Atlanta. I think he was trying to get to, because from Atlanta it'd probably change and then he could get to Nebraska from there. Nevertheless, what was he thinking? What was the motivation? You've got another big fight. It's in a completely different country. You wouldn't even do that traveling from one airport to another in the US. So what was your I don't know, the mind boggles. But I'm not sure why he had a loaded gun. I think it was a Smith & Wesson or something, handgun in your luggage, and the police actually say that it wasn't even concealed. It wasn't even like there was a secret compartment in the suitcase or anything like that. It was just like under some clothes, just packing a gun and going over to another country in this age where terrorism, and we've had terrorist attacks just like the US. It's almost impossible to get something like that through, and it's just crazy. Now, I don't know why he did it. It's kind of strange, because the police basically, they got tipped off by the airport security. The police descended on him. Apparently the scenes were crazy, so maybe they tackled him to the floor, which is obviously probably quite an accomplishment in itself, tackling Bomac Mcintyre to the floor. But I'm imagining that the scenes, that this is probably something that happened. It was in Manchester Airport, I believe, because obviously that's where the fight was taking place with Liam Smith and Eubank, and he basically was trying to smuggle it from the UK back to America. So I don't know if he was successful in bringing it over and then he was just taking it back, or he came over here, purchased a gun somewhere in the UK and was trying to bring it back to the US. I'm not sure. Either way, I don't understand why he thought he needed a firearm in the UK. I don't know if he was aware that the UK just don't deal with guns the way they do in the US. In the US, you're allowed to have guns as long as you have a license and stuff like that. But he didn't even have a license. It was an unlicensed firearm. I don't understand it. You're a high-profile trainer. You've got money. At least, if he had a license for it, he may somehow be able to get off, because it would be like, or maybe, he's got a license, it's licensed. Maybe he could say he didn't realize it was there. He keeps his, he travels so much that he keeps his firearms in the suitcase already, ready to be, ready to go wherever he's going, and he just didn't even realize that it was there, didn't even think of it, and he might get away with it because people think, well, he's a high profile person, we'll make some kind of exception, he's got a license and stuff. But apparently the firearm is not licensed. So the British police, their hands are kind of tied in this situation. They have to serve the law, because no license, you're trying to smuggle something through the airport, and this has to be treated quite seriously. Now, I do feel that he has been detained. His hearing court date is set for the 9th, I believe, and he won't be able to go anywhere until then. And obviously, if found guilty, who knows what happens, But I just think that, he's done so many good things. He's on a high at the moment, he's on the up, and this may kind of put a big dampener on things, because we've got talk of the rematch with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Errol Spence has already activated, I should say, his rematch clause. So that fight is going to be happening soon. He's trying to get that fight to happen as early as December. So if he gets some kind of, if Bomac Mcintyre gets some kind of prison sentence, what's going to happen there? Whether he serves it in the UK or they extradite him and he serves it in America, I don't know exactly how it works, but either way, it doesn't look good. Also, he may get some kind of travel ban. So how is he still going to be working with Chris Eubank Jr. if he has a fight in the UK? There's all sorts of implications, and I just don't understand why someone would do this. Now, apparently, I heard that Bomac was somehow robbed before. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that he was robbed before in the UK, or maybe something went missing in the UK. Maybe this was the time that he was coaching Amir Khan or something. And I heard this. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into this again. But I did hear that there was some issue where stuff went missing, or he was confronted or something like that. And maybe he just thought, that's not going to happen to me again, and he packed the firearm. Most people who are of his kind of status, high profile person, they usually have bodyguards who have licenses, and they carry guns, and then they do all the paperwork and clear it with whichever country they're going to. You don't normally get somebody just packing a gun and carrying it in a suitcase, So I don't know what he was thinking. I can imagine that Chris Eubank Jr. had no idea. Apparently, Chris Eubank Jr. and his team have stayed silent, and they haven't said anything about it, because obviously it's a court case. There's a few legal requirements there. But I know that Chris Eubank Jr.'s brother has come out and has really been campaigning for him to be freed. I don't know how much that is going to influence the British legal system, but either way, let me know what you think about this. Does it jeopardize Terence Crawford's career? Never mind Chris Eubank Jr. and all the other fighters that fight underneath him. He's stable. And does anyone have any further information for why he may have done this? And I think it's quite ridiculous to try to think that you can bring a firearm into another country, especially someone like the UK. The UK, Canada, a lot of these countries are on high alert because of terrorism. So, I don't know, what was he thinking? Do you think that he'll get any kind of prison sentence? Let me know in the comment section. Do you think that he jeopardizes his other fighters if he gets a prison sentence? Would he be sent back home to do his prison sentence, or would he get a term in the UK? I've got no idea. Let me know if you know the answer to any of those questions. Personally, I really hope he gets off. I like Bomac. I like that whole team. I think he's basically, a nice guy. I hope he gets off some kind of technicality or some issue where he can kind of get off with a caution. So I'm very hopeful, but I really don't know where this is going to go. Sometimes the UK like to make examples of people to make sure that it's not something that's carried on. But in the case of if the US government is behind him, I think he'll get off, because the UK always want to maintain their relationship with America, and they bend over backwards to kind of make sure that things run smoothly. So if the American embassy government can do something to help him in this case, you never know, he may just get a slap on the wrist. I hope he does. I'm on to the next one. Once again, guys, this is breaking news, so I really didn't know much about it, so I'm quite interested to hear anyone else who's got more information. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.